Welcome to my channel. Today I will show you how to make this strange particle effect in the Blender using node-based particle system. So it is very easy to do with node-based particle system because we can control the forces effect using empty or different objects. So first download this blend file. I have updated this particle system because this new build of 2.79 in this build the particle cache doesn't update on the completion of this loop. So I have added the script which allow you to update this particle at the first frame. And second thing, I also updated some of the nodes and added a vertex force which are we going to use in this tutorial to make this particle effect. So this particle effect has 5 steps. So in first step we are going to make a circular object using a circle and then animating it is displacement. So the key point is we are not going to animate the emitter object itself, but we are going to animate the displacement of this emitter object. So go to default, add a circle, then rotate it by x-axis, along x-axis. Then I'm going to add also 2 level of subdivisions because we're going to displace this object. Then go to edit mode and add small amount of thickness to it by extruding it along the y-axis. And I'm also going to add 2 circular loop so we have enough geometry to displace this. So then add displacement modifier, name it displacement. Go to texture panel, add cloud texture with maximum with size 2. And we're going to use object to control the texture coordinates. So add empty, I'm going to name it as rotation underscore displace. Then select the empty. So and we are going to use this displacement to get this slight wobble effect. So select this empty, go to this N panel, animate this Y rotation of this empty, type hash to add driver, so type frame, and then divide it by 2 or 3 to just decrease the speed, then add a negative sign so that it rotates the object anti-clockwise. I think it is a little bit slow. Maybe 1.5. And this look nice. Okay, and rename this as emitter object. So we have this emitter object. So the next step is we're going to add a particle system with very simple settings. Some normal velocity, random velocity, and a small amount of damping force. So go to this particle panel, add the particles. Just for the time being, I'm going to use 25,000 particles, but in my main intro video I use 0.3 million particles. So I'm going, and I want only this particle for 50 frames, and add small amount of randomness in the lifetime and small amount of random velocity. Maybe I think I increase this normal velocity, and thing is I'm going to add small amount of damping force, and also I'm going to enable this rotation option. Okay, so the idea is initially this particle going to have a very high velocity, so when we going to render this particle with some motion blur, that will give us this streak like effect, and in the end the damping force slow down the particles and we have a small streak or small particles. Just we can see the velocity variation, maybe 3, you can see this. Okay, so the third step is we're going to add a custom force using node based particles. So I have basically grouped these nodes set up into a group node, so it is easy for you to use this if you are not familiar with animation nodes. But if you want to use this inbuilt setup, you can also use this, but I'm going to use this for simplicity. So first go to subprogram, then add this particle input group node, then select the emitter object, and now enable this animation node and run this simulation, and also enable this update particle cache on. See, it update the particle cache at the first frame. So next is search for particle output node, enable the velocity and connect the particle to active particle system, and then go to subprogram and add this vortex force group node and connect the location to location, velocity to velocity, and this velocity to output node. So this parameter basically control the overall fall off of the this vertex force, and these are the basically rotation axis of the vertex, and these parameters are the strength. So in this case we going to use y-axis as a vertex rotation axis, and if I increase this and run the particle simulation, see, we have the particles are going in spirally. So next I'm going to limit this effect, this vertex force effect, near to this emitter object using empty. So G, and then go to file of add object controller node, select the empty and plug this to the file of, and then we will going to adjust these settings. Maybe exponential file. I think I have to increase the emitter and this normal velocity, maybe 2. Yeah, and I'm also going to decrease it is lifetime of the particles. So now we have a basic setup. Then we will tweak these settings in the end. So next I'm going to add a ground plane, and make this ground plane as collision object. Small amount of stickiness and a small amount of damping and friction. See, some of the particles are interacting with the plane. And then we're going to add a turbulence force. And I'm also going to animate this rotation of this turbulence force using hash frame. Then we're going to change the strength of this force and also the size. Okay, sorry, I forgot to enable this use modifier stack option. So enable this option, only then this particle system is going to consider the modifiers which are above this particle modifier. It looks nice. So our next step is, so this particle gives us this streak effect, this fiery look, and we are going to add a second particle system for this big sparks which are coming from this circular emitter object. So I name this particle system as particle system 1, then as a second particle system, and select the previous setting and click this button that will make this setting unique for these particles. And we're going to use small number of particles but with slightly large lifetime and no damping force, and in the end also for bigger size. Okay, for the viewport change the size maybe so we can see the effect. And also I'm going to copy this node network in different slots so we can bake them or adjust them independently. So just click this number of user button that will make a copy of this node network into a different node editor. So and change the index to 1. So this will going to affect the second particle system. So if we going to run this, we have this. I think I have decreased the age of the bigger particles slightly. Okay, now I'm going to bake this particle system. Where is cache? Okay, bake this large particle system. Then disable the animation node for the second particle system. Now we don't need this, and I'm going to also increase the number of particles, maybe around 50,000. So hit the bake button. So for this project I'm using this Blender 2.79 because of for 2.79 this baking is working. For 2.8 with node based particle system, baking is not working properly. So disable this animation nodes. So go to default. So now if I play the animation, so we have this effect. Okay, now I'm going to create particle objects which we are going to use for particles. So go to mesh, add icosphere and press F6. Lower the number of subdivisions, then duplicate this icosphere and scale it along Z axis, then duplicate it again, make thinner along X axis, again maybe along Y axis. Yeah, so select all the particles, and then make a group. Control G. I'm going to name this as a particle group. So if we go to particle setting, then go to render and select the group and select the particle group. So decrease its size. So these values may be different for you if you have different circular emitter object or you are using for different scales. So these values may be different for you. I'm also going to add some randomness in the particle size, maybe even smaller. Okay, for bigger particles, same thing, select the group, and for this we're going to use maybe 0.0, maybe 0.01, and small amount of randomness. So next I'm going to add material to these particles. Select one of this particle object. Actually I have already created a material for the particles. It is very simple. I'm using particle info node and then dividing the age by lifetime, or basically this setup is giving the particle color based on its current age. Then select all the particles and select the last one which have the particle material. then press Ctrl L to link the materials. Okay, so the next step is rendering and compositing. So maybe I think I have to adjust this camera view. Okay, and I'm also going to add this black material to the ground plane. Okay, so because this streak effect we are getting from this motion blur of the particles, so I'm using for this particle system for these particles shutter speed 3 and rolling shutter duration 1, but these values depends on the velocity of the particles, so these value may be different in your case. So one thing I forgot is I didn't disable this emitter object. Okay, first I'm going to disable this emitter object. Where is it? And also here. Maybe I think I have to adjust this circular force probably. Okay, first I will show you this small compositing, then I will adjust this vertex force parameter, so we should get this circle and this spiral particle look. So for compositing I am using very simple 2 clear node and 1 distortion node. Okay, compositing very simple. So I'm going to adjust these parameters in a time lapse. So So I have rendered this image. So I adjust some of the vertex force and also the emission of the particle in the material. So we have got this effect. So if we increase the number of particles, you will get this exactly like this particle system. I have also uploaded this my original project file with a small number of particles. Just download this file, increase the number of particles, mean particle to 0.3 million, and then rebake the particle system, and you will get the result which exactly show you in my introduction. So that's it. So if you like this tutorial, then please like the video, subscribe to my channel for more updates, and if you have any query related to this particle system, you can ask me in the comment section or my Twitter account or also on Instagram. Until next time, happy noding.